humans, welcome to another episode of Corey's Spectra Services YouTube channel. And today we're going to be chatting about 10 ways to up your leadership game. Alright, so before we get into that, I just want to let you know some changes that are happening. Lately there's been some priority shifting in my world, and I just want to let you know because of that, I will have to pare down my YouTube videos for the month, so probably about one video a month, maybe two, depending if I can get an interview in or that kind of thing. Alright, so 10 ways to up your leadership game. Right. This is awesome. I've been a leader in different capacities, generally from leading organizations, leading queer movement in different ways, creating different organizations, all of these kind of things. And so this is something I certainly have experience in, but like all of us, I'm still growing and learning, but these are 10 ways that I've learned. There's certainly more, but these are the ones I wanted to highlight on today. Alright, so, and obviously, like, some of these, they could be, they are topics in of themselves, so we could be talking about each one for 20 or 40 minutes or even longer, depending. So keep that in mind as we go through these, so they're going to be very quick. And each one is not in any order of importance or value. They're all valuable. So let's get going. So number one. So follow your passion. Alright, so follow your passion is probably one of the most important things. Is whether you're a leader at work or you're volunteering or you're an activist or whatever. You can't do everything, but if you're following your passion, then you can go beyond barriers or fears or a little bit more than you would otherwise. We can't do everything, but if we're doing what we're passionate about, there's more energy to that thing, and we can do it at a higher level and capacity, right? And we're going to enjoy what we're doing. And I really encourage people to use your passion no matter what you're doing. And it's very important to live our life through that life of passion. Alright. 2. Be organized. Okay, so this is the huge thing, and there's always new levels of learning how we can organize and balance things out, because every new project or thing that you do, you have to switch things up and learn how you can do it, but it's so important to organize. So people who've seen my room, I'll just give you a little bit of, you can see, like, in my space, there's a small calendar, and there's a large calendar with bulletin boards and notes. I, use my cell phone to keep me up to date with things. I give myself reminders, all of these kind of things to help me stay focused, let things go so I don't have to remember. I have a very short memory, and so it's better to keep everything down in places where I don't have to worry about remembering it, and then that's one less stress. Just really focusing, making sure you know what your priorities are, and keeping those as the focus, right? And organize around that. Find what works for you. Some people are very much more online based. I am kind of more, physical. I need to see it. I need the physical calendars, but I do use some online stuff like the cell phone calendars and things like that. Some people have sticky notes on their a laptop or computers. Use what works for you, and it might take a little work to find out what works, but making sure you keep on task, because if we all forget or make something up or whatever, but if this is happening on an ongoing basis, then we are seen as not reliable, and then we're not doing what we've committed ourselves to be and do, which is important. But we're also, people will say, well, I don't want them a part of our project because they're not reliable. And so it's very important to stay on task to do that. So being organized is really important. All right, number 3, self-care. Oh, this is definitely one of those things that we could be talking about all day. Um, the more you want to do, more you want to lead and do the things you want to do, the more you need to create that foundation. Okay, so this is something in the next video interview we really talk about creating a foundation with Tracy Munson, but I'll cover a little bit here. Is that it's really important to take care of yourself. Do your best to get a good night's sleep. Do your best to eat healthy, meditate, exercise, whatever it is for you. Making sure you have people you can go to that you can check in and talk about things that are going on. Ask for advice, have counseling, whatever it is that you need to do to take care of yourself, to create that foundation so you can do the things you want to do. If you don't create that foundation, things will start to fall apart. And I would include also, work on your stuff, right? We all have shit to work on. Work on your shit, right? The more we can let go of negative belief systems, behaviors, or whatever, the more we can do that, the more we can move forward and do the things we need to do in our life and create the changes we want to do, right? And so that's really important. Anything else? Breathe. I think this is important too. We're going to be experiencing stress throughout no matter what we do, whether it's a work, a project, whatever. And we need to stop for a moment, breathe, relax, and move forward, right? We often tighten and we stress out, but we don't just stop and breathe. It breaks the cycle of that stress response in our bodies, and we need to do that. And the more we can stop that stress response, the more we can be grounded in what we're doing and we can think clearly, right? So important. Okay, number 4. All right, say no. Okay, this is a big one for me too. We are so often, if you're like me, you want to do so many things, you see so many projects you could do, and you want to do everything, or you want to please people. And the reality is we can't do it all. It's okay to say no, right? It's important to say no sometimes. To tell folks, I really want to do that thing, but I can't, right? We need to say no. And this is part of self-care too, because if we're overdoing it, then we're over maximizing ourselves, stressing ourselves out, and then we're in trouble, right? And so if we can really step back and say, can I really do this? If the answer is no, then don't do it. And certainly we have the opposite too. Sometimes we're afraid of saying yes to things. We need to say yes as well. But no is definitely the biggest, what I see people have barriers in terms of preventing themselves from really being balanced. And the projects they do, if you say too much to yes to other things, then you're not going to have quality projects to the ability or maximum you can do. All right. Number 5, spreading things out. All right. So this is kind of connected to the previous and organization, but I think it's important to highlight in terms of one of the things I have challenges with, and many other people do too, is like we take on too much, but we also smuck it in a small period of time. Really press it down. And so what this has an effect of is that we're overdoing it. But if we spread ourselves out and say, okay, instead of doing this project in 2 weeks or a month, I'm going to do it over 3 months or 6 months, and then the project will get done, and I can also do other things in the meantime. All right, so I'm just changing the direction of the my laptop here because we're getting a lot of refraction from the light, and yet I don't want. I guess that's the best. It's not the best view, but I guess I'll have to work with that. So anyway, one of the things I wanted to also say regarding that is, because I know for myself, I need to have a mixture of things that I do. Okay? Because or else I'm going to get bored as well. So if I spread things out, then I'm doing a number of things, and I stay interested. I still stay in the passion, right? And so this helps in that way. All right. Be authentic. All right. So one of the things about when you're taking on projects, especially if you're interacting with other people, you need to be authentic, honest about who you are, what obviously what you can take on, but be honest about things that you do, because people will respond to that better, and you're able to create projects around that. Because if people feel that you're inauthentic, they won't want to work with you. So it doesn't mean there's not going to be conflicts or anything like that, because some people, you know, their authenticity is not necessarily going to mesh with yours. That's just reality. At least you know where the people stand, right? You be honest about, okay, we're going to disagree. So how do we navigate that? Because sometimes X, Y, and Z person will have to work with you, and you know you disagree on certain things, but if you can say, okay, I know we disagree on this issue, but how can, acknowledging that, naming it, and say, how can we move forward and see if we can make this work? Right? That's just the reality that sometimes can happen, right? And it can really help in that way. All right, number 7, communication. So important, right? When we are, as being leaders, whether you're just volunteering for something or you're on the other end, you're leading a project like chairing a board or whatever, there's so many different ways of being a leader. So one of the things that's really important is communicating, saying, this is where I'm at, this is how I feel about this issue, being honest. There's a concern, say it. Don't hold it in, right? Be able to do that. And I know depending on the context of your work or where you're volunteering may make things a little bit more difficult. But the more you can do that and find ways to be honest and communicate these kind of things, communicating your ideas, the more you're going to enjoy that space and doing those things, but the better you can ideally create ties with the people you work with. Again, and not every case is as different, and you need to navigate what that context looks like depending on workspace or whatever, but in general this is true. So and sometimes you may have to get creative. How am I going to talk to this person about that? Or can I bring in a mediator to communicate this concern, right? All right. And again, number 8, be honest about your concerns. Okay, so this is one that can connect with honesty, authenticity, and all of these kind of things in communication. But be honest with your mistakes. So but I really felt that it was important to highlight this one, because we all make mistakes. Make mistakes all the time, and it's the process of learning. But if you're able to say, you know what, I made a mistake here, and I'm owning up to it, how can I change this, right? People will respond to that much more than if you deny it, right? Um, and it doesn't say that some people will not judge you for the mistake and won't let it go or whatever. That's their shit. Let's be honest, that's their shit, right? If you know you're doing the best you can, you're trying to make changes when you make mistakes or whatever to do better, that's all you need, right? Sometimes you need to check in with someone and say, I did this. How do I fix it? Da 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 da. Right? You know, that's okay. Check in with someone. Talk it out. But at the end of the day, we need to be honest and upfront about those kind of things, right? Know your limitations. All right. So again, this connects with saying no, but it's not just saying no to a project, but it's also know your limitations in terms of how you work. Right? Like, for example, I have a learning disability, so grammar, spelling, those kind of things are not my forte. Right? I have a lot of other things. I can speak, I can do, whatever. But there's certain things I'm not able to do, basically because of my capacity, because of lack of training in certain areas, or again, I'm taking on too much, so there's certainly overlap. But knowing what your limitations are, to say, okay, I can't do this, or I can do this, but I need certain help with that, right? So, for example, I am writing a new proposal for doing research on a PhD. And so because of my spelling and grammar challenges, I need to ask for help, right? I need to ask for people to spell check, grammar, all of those things to make sure this is quality to the level I want it, and it's a PhD level. And so I need to ask for help, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you need to know your limitations to say, what do I need? Okay? All right. Number 10, delegation. Again, this is all interconnecting, knowing your limitations, but it's also saying a number of different things. One is, okay, I can't take on everything, but I need to say X, Y, and Z persons can do this. I don't have to do it, I just direct them, right? The other thing is, when you're in leadership, you want to cultivate leadership, okay? So you want to bring out leadership in other people. And so if you're bringing out leadership in other people, delegating is a really amazing way to do that. Because they may be scared or not sure about stepping in, right? But if you delegate and give them responsibilities, they're going to be able to say, I can do this, and Corey appreciates me, or whoever you are, right? They're going to say, thank you for bringing me in, and they appreciate being part of that process. Okay, so these are the different things you can do, right? And so one of the other things that's just coming to me is, that's coming from this, my experience has been, especially for me, because I've been in a leadership positions where often I'm the only one initiating the project, so I feel like I'm the only person. So this can be weighing down on your shoulders, that kind of thing. So if you're in a community or whatever, and you're trying to create change, and you're the only person doing it so far, that can cause a lot of stress. So number one, you need help. Don't do it alone. Find ways to bring people in to support you so you're not doing it alone. You get worn out way too easy. I sure know what that looks like. The other thing is, find ways to bring in leadership so that not only you're not only one doing it, but also so that it's coming from the community. The community's involved in creating change. Because you may have a lot of knowledge and awareness, but it doesn't mean anything if it's just coming from you. It's gotta come from the community. And how do you cultivate that? Right? And this is tough. I'm still figuring this out all the time, the better ways to do this. And every community is a little bit different because the culture's different, all of those kind of things. So it's very important to really help people to create leadership, feel that they have capacity to do that. Sometimes there may need to be some healing that happens within the community. I know working with the trans and queer community, there's lots of healing that needs to be done. And to know that they can take on these projects, they can take on a leadership role and help other people in the community, right? So really help them. The other thing is feeling that they have the capacity. So not just healing, but having the skills, right? So I'm in the process of helping out a PFLAG group right now, and as well as on the board for the Kaleidoscope Support Association. And in both cases, there's a lot of amazing people, but they don't always have been trained like I have, or they have other training that I may not have. So we're all putting in training each other to build our capacity, build our ability to move forward together. And the more we can build our capacity, we are stronger as a community, and we can build from that. And people feel more confident in taking on those leadership roles. Alright, so that's all I have for today. Thank you so much. Again, the next video will be on interview talking with the amazing Tracy Munson, talking about creating foundations and the work she does. She's also written a book, so I'm really excited about talking with her. So check it out. If you have any questions about this video, please post it below. If you want to check out my website, please do that as well. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, and you can stay up to date on all the videos that I am creating. Thank you so much.